Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is Dr. Jonathan coming to you live with the Althea Sunday Gathering. And today, one of my favorite messages of all is the connection between nature and spirit. Spirit as nature, nature as spirit, nature as teacher, healer, and the first face of God. I'm going to attempt to do this outside because I found the most beautiful place that I could possibly get a signal and live stream from and not be like totally shadowed by the sun and all that kind of stuff. So be patient with me here. I'm trying to have it all just right. And of course, in nature, as with life, everything is moving and changing by the minute. So the sun's going to move around this way. I got a feeder right beside me, and the hummingbirds were just buzzing my head a second ago. And then, of course, the bees and the wasps that love the hummingbird food. That's another part of the process. So let's see now. I'm trying to get straight. I thought I was straight. I can't test this stuff until I'm actually live. If you're out there and you want to send a little love to the rest of the Althea family, please put up your little hearts and loves and smiles. I've got my Althea Wisdom is Our Nature t-shirt on from one of our past Earth Day events, which was so phenomenal. And we're going to do some announcements to begin. And this is working. Please let me know when I get into the message. I'm actually going to switch and put a headset on. I'm not doing that for the announcements only because I'm trying to keep my phone as charged as possible because I think that helps with the quality of the transmission. So what are we going to talk about? We have coming up Thursday. Thursday we have another explorations group. That is a live Zoom gathering that I host, and that will be this Thursday, 11 a.m. Denver time. And the theme that we're doing in July is community connections. And what that means is that the theme for the group is just connecting as a community. And we've done it twice now. It's actually pretty awesome because what we do is we just ask everyone who's there to say hello and talk a little bit about what they're going through or what's on their mind or what they're working on. And then it gives me an opportunity to provide some comment or feedback or, suggestions or something. And in the end, we kind of all get to hear each other and connect with each other and learn from each other. So that's really fun and beautiful. And I suggest you come and see some of your other Althea friends live and in person, especially those of you that are watching this later on YouTube because you're not a Facebook type person. The Zoom link is on our website. It's in the newsletter, and for the people that are into Facebook, it's there. Also, kind of a heavy topic, but we definitely want to remind you that we by our community's support. So we made it through March, April, May pretty strong. July, we were almost $6,000 in the hole, and we need to fight that trend so that we can stay strong while we continue online. Your donations, every penny, whether it's $5, $10, $100, $1,000, all of it matters more than you can imagine. There's a lot that goes on in the building that has to be maintained, and of course we have staff, insurance, all kinds of other expenses. So please don't forget, your donations make a huge difference. We want to get back out of that June deficit and have a really, really strong July so we can feel good going into the uncertainty of our future. Tuesdays, starting on July 14th, that's July 14th and 18th, you will see promoted a heart connecting session for inner discovery with Robin Locke. It's very much actually kind of like an intuition session where through the act of centering and getting connected to our hearts, we get connected to messages and insight and wisdom, and we're delighted to be offering that as some of our summer programming. So Robin will facilitate it. She also offers her own channeled insights, and it's $11 per session. So please check that out. Speaking of fundraising, we do also have Althea Masks coming up. Face masks. We've got this really, really beautiful product being made. Susan and I collaborated with an outside company. It's the kind of mask that's like a hiking mask that actually many of you were wearing even before the social distancing requirements. So it hangs under your neck when you're not needing it, and then when you need it, let's say you're going to go into a store or you're going to be around people, you pull it up over your nose. It's quite comfortable. It's actually very easy to breathe through, although it still protects you from airborne particles coming in and out. But it feels cooling. It's pretty cool. They're beautiful purple, and then they have the Althea flower of life and name kind of scattered on it in white. They're really great. We're going to have them coming out soon, and we're hoping that we can raise a bit of money by selling those. What else can I tell you about? I think that's it, actually. So I'm just checking messages here, checking messages from Susan, what we might need to know or do, but I think we're good. So please make sure that as we go through our time together, you know that you are welcome to post all your little loving emojis, greet your neighbors and friends, text some other people from Althea, let them know to come online and join us. The bigger the number we can get on Sunday, the more energy we can build together. Of course, we know a lot of people like watching this later, and that's fine, but it's pretty special to be able to be doing this live in person and together. Of course, as we are getting into it, please remember, let me know if there are problems with the sound. Right now, I am actually doing this on my phone, and I am seeing the streaming feed. I can't really read it, but if there's a disaster and someone sends me an alert, if Susan sends me an alert, I can see that. So what else can I say? We're grateful for your presence. We need all the energy we can get, not only to sustain our community, but to build our community and to build this beautiful energy of faith in spirit, in the world, and in these difficult times. Your donations make a huge difference. I can't stress that enough today. And more than anything, just sharing the Althea spirit, connecting with other Althea people, sending them a note, an email, thinking back to when you were a volunteer and maybe you were a part of a big group email list and you just want to send out a little love to everyone, or a poem, or invite maybe a social distance walk or something like that in City Park. Please, every one of you, I invite you to be a leader and a light in this difficult time, and thank you for being here now with me. So on that note, I'm going to see if I can see. I can't really see my volume level, but what I am going to do while I sit here in this magnificent location, slowly getting burnt to a crisp. I'm kidding. I have environmentally friendly sunscreen on, of course. But I am going to do our meditation and our statement of being and first poem. I think I'm going to switch to my headset, and then I'm going to need you to let me know if at some point later being unplugged from the power source creates a problem. Can you do that for me, everybody? Let's see. All right. As my dear friend Matthew McConaughey would say, no, I'm not going to quote him. All right. You can tell I'm excited because this is working. I can't believe I'm outside and I'm doing this. It's taken a few attempts to do an actual full sun outside extravaganza here, but it's great. And I'm going to ask you to connect with your breath and settle in. I got one more thing I want to do. Got to figure out how to turn this dial. No. Shucks. Well, I want you to be able to look out here. There. Let's do that. So, for the opening meditation, I'm going to give you that. How's that? That is dynamite. So, wherever you are, take a moment, take a breath, take this in. And then when you're ready, I'm going to invite you to close your eyes, slow down and settle down. Big breath in, big breath in. Feel yourself filling with life force, then hold it. Notice where you feel tension or tightness. And then when you're ready, release. Breathe it out. Imagine you're letting go of all the congestion in your life, all the busyness of your mind, anything that no longer serves you, anything that is not of the light. Imagine that you are releasing it into the light. So just take your time, be with your breath. Feel yourself slowing down and settling down. And today, as we begin this time of settling, I'd like to offer a reading before our prayer. Judith Billings was a well-known consultant who was involved in the President's Advisory Council on HIV and AIDS in Washington. And she wrote this beautiful poem that is very much a prayer. Lie quietly along the earth, that the sky may send its strength through you into the spinning planet. Absorb from eons of tumultuous change the rhythms pulsing up through fire and water, rock and roots of growing things. Your body filtering with flesh and spirit, earth's vibrant offering to the sky. You are the instrument of peace, the promise of renewal to a time and place not of your body, but dependent on your willingness to give yourself to earth and sky, to make belief in goodness shape 1,000 years to come. May blessings be your gift, both given and received. Great Spirit, Father of us all, dear Mother Earth, Mother of us all, combine your might and use our love to make this body whole, now and forever. So continuing with your eyes closed, continuing to be with your breath, feeling yourself slowing down more, coming to a place of stillness, settledness, silence. And let's take a moment to feel that peace within us and affirm that this same peace lives within everything, everywhere in this world. And that as it resonates more strongly within us, we beckon it, we invite it, we resonate with the same in all things everywhere. And so we pray, each in our own way, and yet together as one. To the great mystery, to the one source, Spirit, life, to this pure existence, dear God, we open ourselves to you in this moment as your highest expression of love on earth. Vibrate through our being, through our bones. May we sing you in our words and through our breath. May all that is around us feel your purity, your power, and your peace through our presence. We give thanks for another day of love and learning, longing and letting go. We give thanks for all the ways we are nourished in body and mind, heart and soul. We give thanks for the majesty and the mystery that we are, and the ever-present blessing that is nature, that is wilderness, that is wild, that is natural, all around us, throughout us, between us, that is us in our essence. Today, from this resonant place of power and peace, we hold all the prayers gathered here for everyone watching this, hearing this, feeling this. We amplify this energy. We lift this energy. We hold your prayers, what is most dear to you in your heart. And we offer a prayer for everyone in need, everyone seeking wholeness, healing, justice, equality, elevation, freedom. We are together as one in this prayer for you, each one and all. A prayer for the healing of division in society, in politics, in economics, in biology. A prayer for the redemption of our species through the embrace of this blossoming consciousness of wholeness, of love, unconditional for all beings everywhere. May we together be as one in this moment, in this prayer, and whenever this prayer is heard, that we might feel, know, and radiate the blessing that is the spirit of the earth, the blessing that is the spirit of the sky, the blessing that is the great diversity of spirits throughout creation, and the one true source from which we are all united. May the blessing of awakening to the oneness of all be ours today and ripple throughout creation, that we might evolve and find love, healing, hope, and wholeness together. Amen. As you know, our community has been connected and connecting for over 130 years from its very beginning in Pueblo, Colorado, the Divine Science Sisters, the Divine Science Legacy, and the tradition of affirming the omnipresence of Spirit, meaning that God, Spirit, Source, Energy, Consciousness, whatever you call it, is not only one in its original form, but is expressed through all things, within all things. And that legacy has been passed through this community decade after decade, generation after generation, and I dare say this community has never been quite so tested as it has been lately. Through the distance that has been thrust upon us, through the lack of gathering in presence, still we unite online in small groups and through our shared vision, the spirit of oneness in all. And so from this place, let's unite in this conviction, let's affirm this vibration, and let's share in our statement of being. If you remember it You can close your eyes and we'll say it together again as we affirm that whatever we may see in this world, whether it is the beauty and the extraordinary magic of nature, or whether it's the depravity and the terror that is a part of the human world, may we remember that nothing is outside of spirit, and therefore the seeds of change, of healing, of hope and wholeness live within absolutely everything, absolutely everywhere, if only we can learn to be strong together and resonant in that which we seek to call forth. So, if you remember Althea's statement of being, you can share it with me now. God is all, both invisible and visible, one presence, one mind, one power is all. This one that is all is perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. We are individualized expressions of God and are ever one with this perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. So, our theme today is nature as teacher, healer, and spirit. And it's a theme that we have long explored and celebrated at Althea, a theme that I think speaks to the heart of so many of us. And in fact, I would guess that there are a number of Althea people who will watch this later because right now they're on a trail somewhere or sitting by a river somewhere, taking in what I would call the first church, which is nature, the first place of spirit, nature, the first expression of God, which is nature. And as we face the challenges and the uncertainty of the COVID pandemic, as we face the challenges and uncertainties of racial divisions and the longing for reconciliation and retribution and restoration of balance in the human world, we are calling into question our relationship to all life and all things. And nature is certainly at the heart of that. It is certainly no secret or surprise that in the hardest moments of the COVID pandemic, it is only nature that has been our reservoir of hope and restoration. Millions of people around the world have been restricted from virtually any gathering in some moments, except the simplicity of going for a walk spaciously in nature, sometimes only allowed to go alone. And what we have found is that nature is enough. That nature is there in all its grandeur, beauty, healing power, and spiritual perfection whenever we are willing to slow down, to listen, to look, to love, and open ourselves to its gift. It reminds me of a story that I've told a few times at Althea, an old story, and I'll tell you a very short version of it. You may remember a king of a great empire, a king who had a trusted advisor who journeyed with him throughout the years. That advisor was there since the king was young. The advisor helped oversee all the decisions of the king, finance and culture and society. And as that advisor grew older, he grew more and more fearful. For though the king was benevolent, though the king had always been generous, and despite any challenges or demands, ultimately was fair over time, the advisor, who had a very strong mind, maybe too strong, started to contemplate his own future. What would happen when he was forced to retire? What would happen when he was too old to be of service? Would he be looked after? And so, slowly, little by little, he began to take from the king a gold coin here, a small gem there, accounting for the taxes of some peasants and pocketing some of it, little by little, little favors to the self, in fear that he would not be looked after by the king. Of course, the day came when it became obvious to the king what was happening. And heartbroken, the king called his most trusted advisor forward. And there, in his throne room, before his other advisors and family, he challenged his trusted friend and said, "I'm sorry, but I can't have you here anymore. For if you live from fear, and if you put yourself first, then the whole kingdom is in jeopardy. And my life as the king is one of a steward, a servant. I am here to care for all the people, not just one. And you have always been looked after. You have always been cared for, no matter what wars or struggles or famines we've been through. I have always looked after you, and it was always my intention to continue to do the same. But your fear has driven a wedge between you and our community, a wedge irreconcilable between you and I. I just can't risk the health and safety of our kingdom by taking your counsel anymore. You need to leave, go far, and never return." Well, the advisors, you could imagine, so filled with mistrust and mental complexity and tension and contraction as it was, he exploded in rage. "How dare you? How dare you not see my value? How dare you not trust me? How dare you send me away when I have helped you to be all you are, when I have helped to account for all that is? I promise you one day, when you have something more precious than you can imagine, I will return and I will take it from you, just as you have taken this livelihood, this stature, and this position from me. I will make you pay one day." And he left. And he was never heard from again. Until a few years later, a great commotion rippled through the kingdom after one of the king's exploration ships came back. One of the expeditions returned from one of the far-off lands, and all the land was abuzz of the story of the great red diamond that had been found. They called it the heart of the world. This diamond was as big as a head, as big as a human head. It was bigger than a cantaloupe, almost as big as a small watermelon. It took 2 men to carry it in a box surrounded by velvet. This heart of the world, this glorious gem, this diamond, was unlike anything that had ever been seen before. It was 2, 3, maybe 4 times the size of any gem that anyone had ever found or discovered. Some say it was the value of the entire kingdom. And so the king decided that it was too precious to leave as this great stone. And so he sent his great gemsmiths, the jewelers of the kingdom, and carefully they severed it into 4 magnificent slivers, polished each, faceted each. And this great gem was now sent throughout the kingdom with the largest teardrop, the largest gem, the most precious, to remain within the castle. A gem itself, enough to buy a kingdom, enough to feed cities upon cities for more than a generation. And it's no coincidence that as the story settled, as the gems found their homes in different parts of the kingdom, as the one most precious dewdrop or teardrop of red diamond was hidden in the king's castle, that one night a curious thing happened. There was a knock at the palace doors. The walls, barely audible, an old man was pounding to get in. The guards opened the portal to see who was out there, and this poor wretch of a person reached up and with a frail hand called out, "Please, please, I have been hungry for weeks. I have been an outcast from my village, and I am calling for the mercy of the king to take me in just for a loaf of bread and a change of clothes. Please, if the king is as magnanimous as they say, won't you let me in?" And the guards looked at each other and they thought, I don't know, this is kind of suspicious. Who comes directly to the king for a favor? But it just so happens at the end of the day, the light was setting, the king was out for his evening stroll in the courtyard, oversaw what was going on, asked the guards about it. They said, there's this poor old man looking for some shelter, a bit of bread. He says, maybe you would be kind enough to let him in. And of course, the king, who had always been generous, said, of course, let this poor broken character in. We will give them a room for the night, clothing, a bath, whatever they need, and invite them to the royal feast. Well, the guards were surprised, but sure enough, they brought the old man in. This fragile, old, hooded character with tattered clothes was shown to a beautiful room and invited down to the feast. The old man came to the feast, and there, with the great fires roaring and tables of food everywhere, he devoured food as if he hadn't seen any in a long, long time. And the king went to the old man and put an arm around him and said, "Dear traveler, please feel at home. Stay here as long as you need to. Take what we have laid out for you in the room and be my guest until you are well again." The king embraced the old man, petted him on the heart, grabbed him by the shoulders, and wished him well. Well, the old man, who of course you know was the sneaky, vengeful, spiteful, begrudging old advisor, was in disguise. Disguised his hair, his smell, covered himself in ash, and the cloak looked nothing like himself, had grown a beard. And he knew, or he thought, that he was sure to have fooled the king. And that night after the feast, he went up to his room, and no sooner had the castle grown quiet with everyone asleep, he left the room. For he knew all the secret corridors. He knew where everything was kept that was precious. He knew where everything was kept that was hidden. And he was seeking that most precious teardrop of the most precious diamond in the world. And he would steal it for himself, humiliate the king, and show the community who was the wisest in the end. But you know what happened. As he searched the castle, he found nothing. In every secret hiding place he had ever devised or taught the king about, in every secret hiding place that had ever been created that he could find, there was nothing. There was nothing. Until he stood outside the king's bedroom door. And down the hall in each direction, a guard patrolling. He opened the door, he snuck in. The king slept deeply as he knew he would. And he snuck around the room to all the places the king might hide something. Nothing. And then the most audacious move of all. The old man, the advisor in disguise, went to the king's pillow under the king's head. And as he reached in, he heard a voice behind him. His old friend, the king, who of course wasn't in bed at all, stood there with guards and said, my friend, you'll find nothing there but a pile of pillows and an empty bed. If only you could have trusted me once more, you would have found all that you want. Again, that advisor was outraged. He ran to escape, and of course, the guards grabbed him. And the king went close, pulled off the hood, the fake nose, whatever you can imagine, laid his hand on the heart of the advisor. You must trust in things greater than yourself, or you will always be a fool. And with that, he slipped his hand into the old garment of the old beggar costume. And there was the teardrop, the heart of the world, the gorgeous, most precious diamond imaginable. He had slipped it into the clothing of the advisor while he was at the dinner. And the advisor could never have imagined that the most precious thing in the world was that close to him. Spent all that time and energy overlooking the gifts given to him, the beautiful room, the bed, the new clothes. Surely if he had changed, he would have felt it fall out, or in the weight of the clothes as they fell to the ground. And so, of course, he was taken and sent to a prison far, far away, where he spent the rest of his life. And this story is a critical story because it tells the story of the human relationship to nature. The human relationship to nature. Nature is the precious gift that Spirit has given us, the first form of Spirit. Before there was humanity, before there was humankind, there was only nature. The only thing that we find that preceded our intelligence, our wisdom, was the pure expression of life itself. Planets, solar systems, mountains, rivers, coneflowers, hummingbirds, great blue whales, mosquitoes. There's no division between spirit and nature. Nature is the first form of spirit. And there was a time where we knew that. There was a time where we knew that all of our medicines came from nature. And we didn't just pick them, but we dreamed them. We spoke with them. We prayed with them. We asked their permission. And we had a relationship with them, whether it was plant or tree or fruit or feather or beast. We lived in a dynamic, awakened relationship with nature, and nature taught us and told us how to heal ourselves. And so we survived for tens of thousands of years, thousands upon thousands of generations, with only the gifts of nature to bring us through, only the medicine of nature, only the comfort of nature, only nature as our home and shelter. And then something happened. We became mistrusting, like the advisor. We found ourselves in a story just like the one we heard. The king, which of course could be a queen or any gender at all, the king signified the ultimate power, the ultimate divinity, God, Spirit, Source. Community was represented by, his community was represented by people. It's us, the world, the human community. And yet we as individuals have become too much like the one that no longer trusts. That no longer trusts that Spirit is looking after us, and that Spirit has given us the greatest gifts again and again and again, that Spirit has looked after us again and again and again, and more than anything, through the priceless gift, power, medicine, wisdom of nature. And so in the story, the heart of the universe, this precious stone, is nature itself. Of course it's nature, for a precious gem is nature. It's a stone, a rock formed in the earth naturally by the earth's own power. And it is as close to us as we could imagine, and we, like the mistrusting advisor, become too enamored with our own minds, what we have, what we do, and the impulse to look after ourselves as though we had the answers, when not long ago, whether it was as children or whether it was as our ancestors, we knew that all great innovation, all great healing, all great wisdom came from going humbly first into the first world, the natural world, to call for help, to call for health, and to find that all the spirits of life are alive and well and present in the natural world. There was a time where we knew that the physical and the metaphysical were as one, and nowhere more potently so than in nature, what we now call wilderness, places like this. But we, like the old advisor, too in love with his own mind and power, too mistrusting and without faith in the Spirit that had cared for him all his life, began to disconnect as he felt he had to look after himself. And we do the same. We go out in a boat, on a trail, to a park, to a yard, and we think and think and think how we're going to fix things, change things, what we need, who we are, instead of just asking, listening, receiving the endless blessing and bounty that is everywhere and ever present, in the grass that comes up between the cracks in the sidewalk, in the flower that blossoms on your windowsill, in the fruits and vegetables in your refrigerator. No matter who you are, no matter what you have, nature is your companion. And she is the first source of medicine. Medicine that heals our wounds, that treats our illness, that mends our bodies, soothes our minds, is spacious enough to hold our emotions, and is infinite enough and yet intimate enough, infinite and intimate, that we might sense, know, and connect with Spirit directly through her. There can be no greater medicine than that. There can be no greater power than that. And no matter what we face as a human community, if we become as the advisor, then we, like him, will be cast into a prison of separation from that which we once loved and cherished and were nourished by. And this is really our message, our lesson, our gift for today. To remember the presence of Spirit in nature and the power of Spirit in our lives to hold all the healing, the hope, the medicine and wisdom that each and any of us need. And so we close And I invite you to reconsider that relationship you have. When you go out in nature, what are you in relationship with? Is it your mind, your emotions, what you're going through? Or can you set it down and let the gifts of this first expression of spirit speak to you and through you? We all need to learn to listen again. And as we go through these difficult times of life, humanity, and the human relationship with the environment, finding its balance again, we need faith. The ability to trust that that which has been our medicine for tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of years is every bit as present and powerful today. So take your time and find your way outside again. For as John Muir said, when you open your heart and mind, you will realize that going outside is truly going in. So, we're going to close with a little blessing, a little prayer, a little reading. But before that, I want to thank you all for being here. I want to thank you all for your time, your energy, your commitment to each other and our community. I hope that you can find time to reconnect with nature as spirit and spirit as our source of wisdom and healing of all kinds. Listen, listen, and listen more. Don't forget we have wonderful classes coming up, so you can go online and check it out. We have Sue Hunt's healing meditation class coming up. We have Robin Locke starting this week. We have Thursday Community Connections with me at 11 o'clock, Zoom. So check out our Facebook feed, check out our newsletter, check out our website. And again, we're grateful for all your donations. Donations are what keep our community going. And if you weren't there earlier, I have to say we have been proud and grateful for March, April, May. We made it through this time of separation. And we have managed to keep ourselves financially afloat. In June, we have faced a challenging setback, $6,000 in deficit in the month of June. We know that we can stay together, come together, and whether it's $5, $50, or $500, everyone's donation matters and makes a difference as we keep our building alive, as we keep our building going, as we keep our community strong, and we support our staff, our friends, and each other. So, with that, I wanted to close with this little reading and a little blessing. I'm going to invite you to close your eyes, take a breath, and for a moment, just remember or imagine your most favorite place in nature, a beautiful place of healing power. And picture yourself there right now. What would it look like? What would it feel like? Breathe that energy in. Feel it in every cell of your body, for it is with you. When we close our eyes, the whole world is with us and within us. We are together, and all that we love, all that nourishes us, is together with us here and now. James Bertolino, a professor of creative writing in Willamette University in Oregon, wrote this beautiful poem, this prayer that reminds us of our intimacy. We believe in the one message, like a fever chill, in each mushroom, inside the chanterelle, the morel, the rose coral, and shaggy mane. We believe plankton travels the sea's veins. We believe the towhee. We believe alpine snow water when it teases the crags and outcrops like clear crystal is memorizing sunlight to help the oysters grow. We believe in synchronicity. We believe when a poem is conceived, the beloved knows. We believe Jupiter touches us with luck as we live and live and live again, and that Jesus knew. We believe sod holds. We believe there are in each of us particles that once were stars, that matter is thought, and that this belief is the way of breathing in. And so through this breath, we are united in our prayer for peace in our own lives, health and healing in our own lives, love, justice, equality, balance in our own lives and in the world around us. In this community of souls, this learning circle that is Althea, and to all who hear these words, all who connect with us, to us, through us. We are enlivened, ignited by the Spirit of life. And we remember that every expression of Spirit is an expression of us, that every face and force in this world lives in us. And so we affirm the love and acceptance of all that is, all struggle, all horror, all beauty, all goodness, that we might come to a new relationship with it all. And through that peace, reclaim our power, our love, our wisdom, that we might restore the balance and heal the broken and hear the cries of those in need, that together we would find wholeness and the joy of life and living again. For all these things and the healing, teaching, restorative power that is nature and all that we are, together we say, Amen. So thank you for joining me once again. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm so grateful this worked. I understand it may have fizzled a little bit visually, but for the most part, you got the scene and the view, and the sun cooperated and the sound cooperated. So thank you. And special thanks to our Althea team, Daryl, wherever you are, for all your hard work, to the board, to Aaron, and of course Susan, who holds it all together behind the scenes. Thanks to each and every one of you, Sarma, all of our volunteers, everyone watching and wishing well for each other, for all the ways you give, whether it's by time, by energy, by blessing, or donation. Thank you, one and all. We love you, we're grateful for you, and I hope we'll see you soon, maybe on Thursday. All right, lots of love and a blessed time in nature to each of you sometime soon.